Hi learners, it's glad to see you in Krishna's space. Today is the day 66 of our 300 days DSA journey. So it's time for our today's problem. Let's understand it. So today's problem is Pascal's triangle, and here we have given an integer called num rows, and we have to return the first num rows of Pascal's triangle. So in Pascal's triangle, each number is the sum of two numbers directly above it. They have even shown it. You can see 1 and 1 is giving 2, 1 and 2 is giving 3, 2 and 1 is giving 3, then 3 1 gives 4, 3 3 gives 6 and 3 1 gives 4. So this is how you can see each number is the sum of the two numbers directly above it. And now you are going to think that how we are getting first in starting and ending of each row. So let's take the row 2 and know that how we are getting 1 here. So as we know in Pascal's triangle, each number is the sum of two numbers. So that means 1 should be also the sum of two numbers. But here we are actually seeing only one element and its left side is empty. So whenever we are getting empty in our left side, we are going to make it as 0. So when we are going to add 0 plus 1, we will get 1. And in the second one, you can see the right side is empty. So we will going to make it 0 and we are going to add 1 and 0 and we will get 1. So this is how we are going to have 1 at starting and ending of each row. So basically to create a new row, we are going to add 0 at left and right side of our previous row. Also you are going to notice that each row has the element equal to its row. So the first row has 1 element, second row has 2 elements, third row has 3 elements, fourth has 4 elements and fifth row has 5 elements and so on. So that means the next row will have one element greater than the previous row. As you can see in the example 1 as well, we have given the num rows as 5 and in the output they have given the Pascal's triangle and you can see each row has one element greater than the previous one. So first row we have 1, in the second row we have 2, in the third we have 3 elements and so on. In the second example we have given num rows as 1, so the output will be 1 only. And now let's understand how I approach this problem. So in this, the first thing I have done is to create my first row, because whatever the num rows we will get, the first row will remain same. It will always be 1. So that's why I have created the first row and then I have run a loop from 0 to num rows minus 1. Why? Because we have already created the first row. Let's say that we have taken the example 1. So we have num rows as 5 and I have already created the first row. That means I just need to create 4 rows more. And that's why I have run a loop from 0 to num rows minus 1. And inside the loop, I have created a temporary row, or I can say temporary list, in which we are getting the previous row plus we have included 0 at left and right side. As I already said, we are going to include 0 at left and right side of our previous row to create our new row. So that's why we have done this. And thereafter I have created an empty list called row, which is going to be our current row. And for that I have created another loop inside it, and its range will be 1 greater than the previous row's length. So basically if our previous row's length will be 2, so now I will have the range from 0 to 3. That means my j will have the value 0, 1 and 2. And inside that loop, I'm adding the elements in my row by adding the left and right element from my temporary row. And after completing the loop, I'm going to add my row list into my result. So basically, if you are going to take the example 1, in the first run, we will have our temporary list as 0, 1 and 0. Because our previous row is 1, so that's why we are going to have our temporary list as 0, 1, 0. And to create row, we will have j as 0 and 1 only, because the last row has the element 1. So in this, our range will be from 0 to 2. And inside the loop, we are going to add our element into row. So in the first run, when j will be 0, we are going to have the element as temp of 0 plus temp of 1, which will give us 1. So our first element will be 1. And in the second run, when our j will be 1, we will have the temp of 1 plus temp of 2, which will give us again 1. So now in my row, we have two elements 1 and 1, which we are going to append into our result. So now in my result, we have two rows. And in the second run, our temporary list will have the element as 0, 1, 1, 0. And our j will have the value 0, 1 and 2. because our previous row has the element 2, so that means our range will goes from 0 to 3. And inside the loop, when j will be 0, we will have the element 1 in our row. And in the second run, when j will have the value 1, the element will be 1 plus 1, 2. So now our second element will be 2. And in the third run, again we will have the value 1. So now in my row, we will have the element 1, 2, 1. So we are going to append it into our result. So now in my result, we have 3 rows. So that's how we are creating each rows for Pascal's triangle. And in the last, we are going to return our result list. So that's how I have solved this problem. If you guys have any other solution of it, do write it on comment. And I know there are multiple solutions of it, like we can solve it with DP and combinatorials as well. So I would love to see the solution of it. And thank you so much for watching this video and staying with me.